trying to figure out that plant. Still figuring out this whole vlog thing. I'm not used to being in front of the camera, so I don't know if I like that plant coming out of my head, but I'm running out of time, so I'm just gonna have to do that today. So today I'm talking about why I'm a filmmaker. And, you know, really it comes down to the fact that I'm just very passionate about the emotions that I feel when I watch something that completely wrecks me and compels me. And this can be anything, you know, it doesn't take much to wreck me. It can be, you know, a brainless superhero film that just happens to hit those right notes about sacrifice and nobility, to things, you know, probably a film that most impacted me most recently was Hidden Figures. A scene when Kevin Costner's character completely gets rid of the segregated bathrooms at NASA. That wrecked me, man. Having those kinds of moments as a viewer is groundbreaking and life-changing, and that's why I do what I do. I don't feel like I've ever captured a moment like that for myself in my own work yet, and I think it's because I'm still learning as a storyteller. I really, as passionate as I am about those moments, my sort of school has been more in the line of thought of cameras, you know, like the gear I've got in front of me. You know, figuring out how to make something look like a movie, figuring out what, you know, what does 24 frames per second look like? What is, you know, 3-point lighting? What is, you know, depth of field? What is, you know, all those technical terms. It's really only been in the last, I mean, honestly, I've made 2 feature films and I've made over 15 short films, but it's really only been, I think, in the last 2 or 3 years that I've realized how much of a deficit I am at when it comes to understanding story itself, which is, you know, something that, you know, you should not be at when you're a filmmaker. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the journey that I'm on now, because I'm starting to find my own story, and that's some of it. Is you know, I had a conversation with a friend, a fellow filmmaker, a couple years ago, and you know, he mentioned that the best directors, the best filmmakers have that story within them that they're always tapping into. You know, I mentioned like Spielberg, his thing is always fathers. There's always something about fathers that he's always tapping into, whereas other filmmakers, and I won't name names, but, you know, as in our conversation, he was mentioning other filmmakers, you know, had a great life, you know, modern filmmakers, some of the modern big blockbuster guys, you know, that you can tell they're trying to emulate something that they don't have, that they haven't experienced, as opposed to finding their own thing. And I think that's where a lot of the nostalgia and the reboots from today happen, is it's more about trying to capture something from the past instead of capturing something that's happening right now. So I'm trying to find what is happening in my life right now. And the great thing is life is right now throwing a bunch of stuff at me to process. So in 2016, I walked away from a full-time job as a media producer at a church, which I'd been there for 13 years. It was a steady job. I had benefits, and especially in today's kind of insurance climate, that was a great thing to have. But I had a dream. A year prior to that, said I was going to be leaving and pursuing the filmmaking thing full-time. And so I, you know, a year later I did. It's been, you know, 2 years now, about 2 years since I stepped out from that. And the trials that I've gone through, those have been challenging, and seeing things line up as they need to has been encouraging. But then there's health stuff. I have genetic issues that required me to have surgery to remove my large intestine when I was 17. Now I'm seeing my daughter has those same issues, and she's like, you know, she's 10, and she's likely going to have that surgery in a couple years. You know, stuff like that is really cropping up, and I'm hoping that is laying the groundwork for some rich stuff. You know, I'm flying by the seat of my pants in all of this, and I'm trying to find this balance between being prepared and being able to be impulsive at the same time. I've been spending the last 9 months trying to plan out this film, the second. I've done several different drafts, half starts, and then restarts, and the half starts and the restarts. Right now I'm 51 pages into the script of this current iteration. I think I've got it now, but it's a lot of that is that second guessing nature, because you know, I don't want to be negative, but you know, none of the films that I've made I've ever really gotten out there beyond maybe a film festival or two and getting it online, which is great. You know, I've actually sold a feature film, you know, on Amazon, made a couple $100 off of it, you know, and that's more than some can claim. But, you know, really being bogged down with those failures and entering my 30s and now being, you know, entering my mid-30s. I'll be turning 34 this year, I think. I was born in yeah. I don't actually know my own age right now. I think I'll be turning 34. But I'm at this place where I feel this kind of sense of failure. Like I should have arrived already. I should have done something right now. And it's like, have I? And so I'm trying to incorporate all of that stuff into the second. And figure out the feature, the current feature that I'm working on. Trying to figure out how to incorporate my story, be real, move beyond emulation of other movies, and move into what am I trying to say, what am I trying to communicate in a way that connects with other audiences, because that's the balance. I've got to bring myself, but I've got to build my audience first. So that's why I'm trying to vlog every day. To build that audience of 100,000 people in the next year. I'm just bringing myself to it. I can't, you know, I can study all the trends, I can try to be trendy, it's not going to happen. I can just try to be me and put myself out there every day and see what happens. So why am I a filmmaker? I'm trying to capture a moment that comes from here, pulls out of my heart, out of my gut, what's left of my gut, and makes you feel the way I felt when watching Hidden Figures, Kevin Costner tearing down the segregated bathrooms. That's why I'm a filmmaker. Hopefully I can make you feel that way someday. So, I'd love your subscribe. I'd love you to follow me on the journey that I'm on. I'm hoping in 2 years' time we'll have released my next feature. The second, 2020. But whether that happens, it will happen. It will happen. We don't know how it will happen. We know it will happen. But regardless of that, this is just about my journey. This is about my why, and there's a little bit of my why. So thanks, guys. We'll talk soon.